Hello Tuck everyone, it's me again, Penny, and tonight I will be reading about baby big mouth. That's what it's called in Chupik. Where I'm from, we called it, it's either big mouth baby or the diaper bouncing baby, and you'll see why. But so in Alaska, the different types of Eskimos, Inuit, which I am, Yupik, which there's a lot of here in Nome, where I live in now, and from Kotzebue, and Chupik. So that's who I will be. This story comes from a Chupik fable, the one that I'm reading. And it is by Muriel M. Amos. And they've got a native name. I don't want to say it, but I'm afraid that I'm going to butcher it. It's Nussaalar. Okay, I'm sorry. I tried. So this story, many years ago, when the world was still young, a story came originating from the Nome area, which I'm in now. It was a time when people lived inside sod houses. Ancient traditions were used. It was at the time when ancient traditions were used, such as when a couple married and bore children, every night seal oil was applied around the child's mouths. It was a tradition before going to bed that seal oil was applied on the infant's lips. Their traditional living continued, and the community had a successful hunter as a resident as well. The successful hunter's commands were immediately obeyed. Successful hunters were heroes. Anything to do with hunting, as well as being to secure any animal. He was considered a leader of the community. So back in the day, when the hunters had a successful hunt, they would come and bring the hunt, and they would give to the elders first, and then the women and children and everybody else, and the hunters would take what was left. As the story continues, the successful hunter's daughter bore a child and practiced the ancient tradition, the seal oil tradition. She was the leader's daughter. Therefore, her sleeping location was on the upper bedding area. One night, she did not apply seal oil to the infant's lips, and she went to sleep. Her parents fell asleep and were awakened by a noise. It sounded as though something was eating. It made heavy slurping sounds. He was now aroused, the hunter. The sound appeared to be coming from his daughter's sleeping area, from above. So he slowly rose to see and found that their infant, so the mom was right here, and he could see the infant's head like right here. And he could see that the infant was eating the mother. The infant child looked up at him and grew a mouth that stretched from ear to ear. It also grew sharp teeth. The child had started eating its mother, beginning from the breast area. It was on the verge of completely eating the entire upper body. It was then that the inhabitants of the sod house started cautiously moving out of the house. The whole village was alerted and awakened. Then the village was deserted because the residents fled to the mountains. The residents escaped and hid under bushes. When their successful hunter said, "I have forgotten my knife inside of the house." Metal knives were rare during that time, so he was looking for a volunteer to get it. A reward, he also made a reward, so whoever can go and get my metal knife. When he didn't get a volunteer, one successful hunter had the urge to go, so he made preparations to leave. He went down to the village using their escape trail. and finally arrived at the house. The residents of the village acknowledged that the village acquired an eye. Therefore, it was abandoned. When the word was being spread, the infant child exited from the far end of the village. It now used its diapers for transportation. So that's where the whole diaper bouncing baby got its name. During that time, walrus and seal stomachs were made into diapers. That always make me wonder, like, what did they use for, like, pads, you know, for periods? I don't want to know. During that time, it traveled in a prone position and did so very fast, using its diaper as if it were a sled. It then went into the next sod house. The successful hunter then ran as fast as he could down to the house and entered. Quickly, he grabbed the knife that his partner had talked about, you know, the one that he left behind that he was like, the reward, blah. He immediately jumped up onto the entrance's tunnel ledge. This occurred during the summertime. The infant child made its way into the house using its diaper for a sled, as though it were a bobsled in prone position. His pursuer, the infant child, was quickly chasing him using the scent left behind the hunter. The infant child pursued without knowing where the successful hunter had severed his scent from the caribou trail. It continued moving forward, using scents on that caribou trail. When it made sharp gasps, boulders shot out from the earth, landing and protruding upright. Some became mountains. My memory is at a loss from here. So this is where the story ends. Well, that is not where the story ends where we come from. Actually, the story of the diaper bouncing baby continues where there was like a river. There was a river that had a bridge, and when the infant baby was chasing the villagers, when the hunter first saw his daughter being eaten by the baby and the villagers fled, they fled to that creek and went across the bridge. And when they went across the bridge, the young hunter bravely stayed behind and kind of like coaxed the big mouth baby with him onto the bridge. So when the hunter went on the other side of the bridge and the baby was on the bridge, he took that knife that they were talking about in the story and he cut the bridge. And so the baby fell into the water. And it was then when a mermaid, and I remember I talked about mermaids in my last video, the mermaid takes the baby. And so now, this is, they say it happened at the lagoon in Kotzebue. And in the lagoon in Kotzebue is kind of infamous for like a lot of drownings. And so in the story, it's the mermaid trying to feed the big mouth baby. So whenever a boat would come by, she would come and capsize it and flip it over to feed the big mouth baby. So that was the story of the big mouth baby, aka diaper bouncing baby, aka baby big mouth. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you again. Bye.